Welcome to the Legalpreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Andrea Sager, founder and CEO of Legalpreneur Inc. As a serial entrepreneur and someone that works exclusively with small business owners legally protecting their business, I'm dedicated to covering common legal issues faced by business owners, providing you with the business knowledge you need to catapult your business's growth and showing you just how some of the world's most elite entrepreneurs have handled these legal and business issues themselves. In true attorney fashion, the information in this episode is not legal advice. This is for informational purposes only, and you should always consult with your attorney before implementing any of the information in the show. Hello there, welcome back. I am so excited. I kind of took an unexpected hiatus from the podcast for a couple of episodes. I've just been crazy traveling, getting back into the swing of things after Dream Bigger, which was absolutely phenomenal. I cannot believe how many people just came up to me and have since emailed me or contacted me somehow and just said, this event absolutely changed my life. And it just makes me so happy that all the hard work that we put in putting it on this event finally just came to fruition, and it paid off more than I could have ever imagined. Like, I knew people would enjoy the event. I knew people would walk away with, something new, something to really light them on fire. I had no idea that people were going to walk away literally saying, this event changed my life. So I'm really honored and just super excited that it was a hit. And so I don't know the date or location of the next event. However, we will have another event in 2023. If you want to get on the wait list to be the first to hear about that, and of course, discounted tickets, just go to legalpreneur.com/dreambigger and get on that wait list. The link is there in the show notes. So today we're going to be talking about goals. And I'm so excited because it actually hit me last week. So after Dream Bigger, I went to Los Angeles for my last meetup of the year with Chris Harder's Elite Mastermind, which you've heard me talk about masterminds before. Love it. I've been in there for 3 years. I would not be where I am today without Chris and his mastermind. But we actually got to hear from Lewis Howes, and our speakers this meetup were beyond phenomenal. But talking with Lewis or hearing from Lewis really hit me the most. And that's why I want to talk about goals, because he actually challenged me on my goals. And so I realized, hey, if I'm having trouble with this, I know other people are as well. And so we're going to be talking about getting those precise goals. And Lewis Howes, if you haven't heard of him, hopefully you have. He is the host of the show of The School of Greatness, and he's an author. He's been in the online world forever. He's just an incredible human being. And he came to us and he said, hey, my goal is to reach, because he used to do a lot of teaching, and Chris Harder actually got the idea to start his mastermind because he was in Lewis Howes' mastermind. And Lewis Howes had other online programs. He did other things, and he actually shut it all down in order to grow his media brand, his media company, which is essentially the School of Greatness. Now he has a ton on YouTube. Like, he's doing a lot with his brand, and which I'm a huge fan of. Hopefully one day I'll have him here on the show, and hopefully one day I'll be on the School of Greatness. I put that out into the universe last week in LA. So hopefully one day, or not hopefully, one day I will be on the School of Greatness show. Anyways, so the goals. His whole goal is he wants to reach 100,000 people a week. He wants to impact 100,000 people a week with his own media brand. Very defined. He talked about how he got to this number and where it came from. And I asked him, because he has a new book coming out next year. And so I asked him about my book. So my book is coming out in January, Legalpreneur, The Business Owner's Guide to Legally Protecting Your Business. And I asked him, like, hey, what tips do you have for a first-time author? And, what as a first-time author, like, what were you doing to promote your book? And so he asked me what my goals were. And initially, I actually did not have goals to sell the book. I wanted to write it. I wanted to get it out there. And I wanted it just as another marketing piece and just as something to just essentially like give to clients and let it be available as people need it. But as I have gotten closer to the launch date, I'm like, no, actually, I do want this to have a good launch and reach as many people as possible and as many entrepreneurs as possible. And so initially, I was like, oh, I want to sell 5,000 copies. And of course, here comes Lewis, and he's like, okay, well, by when? Why not more? Why not 10,000? Why not this? Or why, just challenging me on my goals. And he wasn't like pushing back to say, like, hey, you can do more, but why not have this goal? Like, do you have an actual reason of why you want this number, why you think you can hit this number? And I had said, oh, I want to sell 5,000 books by June. And he was like, why not January? Like, why don't you want to sell 10,000 the first week? And so, of course, I have this imposter syndrome. I'm like, well, my fear, I have my own fear. I'm in my own way because I'm writing about the legal stuff. And my fear is, oh, not many people are going to want to buy a book about the legal stuff. And he's like, no, he's like, every entrepreneur needs this. He's like, everybody needs this. He's like, you should be selling many, many more copies than 5,000. So he challenged me. And so I've been getting really, really clear on my own goals. And so I'm happy to announce that my goal is to sell 10,000 copies of the book the first month that it's out. So by the end of February, the goal is to have 10,000. Honestly, I would love to sell 10,000 that first week. I need to change I know I'm coaching myself right now because I need to like feel confident in saying I am going to sell 10,000 the first week that it comes out. So I'm still working on that. I'm getting there. We do have the pre-sales available. We announced it on the podcast. But we're not changing a few things. We're just like kind of revamping how we're launching this. But I want to talk about your goals. So my goal, my big thing for next year is the book. And it's not just selling the book, but I want to get more speaking opportunities. And I believe that is going to happen because of the book. And that was a big reason of why I wanted to get the book out there. So on top of the book, I have speaking goals. And what I encourage you to do is really figure out and brain dump, like literally sit for a few minutes and think about 2023. What are your goals for 2023? Just brain dump for, 5 minutes. Give yourself 5-10 minutes to just brain dump, write as much as possible. What are your goals for 2023? And then I want you to identify like your top 3 to 5. Be like, okay, at the end of 2023, Christmas 2023, if these 3 to 5 things have happened, it'll be my best year ever. And circle those. And once you have those identified, then think about, okay, how can I get more granular with these goals? How can I actually get more precise? How can I define these goals even more? And maybe just break them down. Because at first I was like, 5,000 books by June. I was really just pulling it out of my butt. And I didn't really have a plan to even get there. And then after Lewis was challenging me, and this was in front of the whole group, and even afterwards, people were like, that was amazing that he was just pushing back. And I was like, I know, like he really got me in check there. And so this is what I've been doing for all of my goals for 2023 is getting the overall big goals and then breaking them down. Okay, if I want to sell 10,000 books really in January, by the end of January, then I need to start reaching out to this many people. I need to get on this many podcasts. I need to do this. I need to do this and start doing that, because then it really got my butt in gear. I'm like, oh shit, we're in October. So I need to start doing this. I need to start doing this. And so when you have those goals, those 3 to 5, like really overarching goals, define them even more. Get more precise on those goals and challenge yourself. Like, okay, is this a safe goal? Can I actually stretch that? Because I was actually doing a podcast interview yesterday to be on somebody else's podcast, and she was talking about how much money I had made in my law firm. and talking about how like I had hit big numbers pretty quickly. And I said, actually, like these are great numbers. I'm very, very proud of them. But what's funny is that I've actually never hit a revenue goal of my own. So my first year in the law firm, I brought in $430,000. My goal that year was to actually bring in $500,000. My second year, my goal was $1 million. And between my two businesses, I brought in $1 million. But with my law firm specifically, I had brought in like 960,000 and basically $1 million. But I was like, I actually have never hit a revenue goal of mine because I really make myself stretch. And I am really proud of those, like the numbers that I have hit. Like, don't take this the wrong way that I'm not proud of it. I am very, very proud of those. But I still haven't hit the goals. At the same time, though, if I didn't have those huge outlandish goals that I truly believed I could hit, I wouldn't have been that close to them in the first place. So don't be afraid to set these huge outlandish goals. Unless, if there's just something in you and you're like, I don't even believe that can happen, I don't see how that can happen, then that's not a goal that really may push you or really light you up because you just don't believe it can happen. But if you have a stretch goal and you're like, okay, this is a stretch, but I can make this happen. I see the path. I know how I could make it happen. Then have that stretch goal. And if you come short, you wouldn't have got that close anyway unless you had that stretch goal. So we're in the end of October, heading into the last couple months of the year. Take the time to really, really get granular with your goals. Challenge yourself. Make sure that you're not just setting arbitrary goals. Like, why do you actually want this? Is this actually going to fulfill you? Is this actually going to, if you're at Christmas 2023, are you going to feel like, yeah, I actually, like, this has been the best year ever? Are you going to feel like that if you hit these goals? If not, then maybe you need to redefine or figure out your why. There's a lot of things you can dig into, but take the time now, get clear on those goals, challenge yourself, get precise, and please reach out on Instagram. I want to hear what your goals are. I'm fired up for 2023. Luckily, like every time I'm with Chris Harder and his mastermind, I'm always fired up after. But I am very, very fired up now for the book. And I do have a goal of selling 10,000 copies. And I want to sell 10,000 copies in January. And one of the ways I want to do that is through speaking opportunities and podcasts. So if you know somebody that I could be a great guest on the podcast, please let me know. Or if you have a community that needs legal education, please let me know. I would come to love and educate your community and just reach more people. But please reach out on Instagram. Let me know what your goals are because I want to see, hey, can we help each other? Let's figure out how we can help each other reach our own goals. So I'll be sharing, if you are cool with me sharing on my Instagram stories, I'll be sharing your own goals and we can all see how can we help each other together. All right, I'm out. I will see you all on Monday. And don't forget to reach out on the gram. Have a wonderful weekend. Here at Legalpreneur, we're committed to providing a supportive legal community for all business owners. I know how scary the legal stuff can be. If you found this information helpful, I would be so grateful if you could share it with a fellow business owner. And quite frankly, it doesn't cost anything to rate, review, or subscribe to the show. Your support helps me reach more listeners, which allows me to support more business owners in their entrepreneurial journey. Have any questions or comments about the show? Feel free to drop me a line on Instagram. I promise I read all of the messages and comments. And if you want to be a guest on the show or know someone that would make a great guest, simply fill out our application form and a team member will reach out if we think it's a good fit. I'll see you in the next episode.